Luz Marina Bernal is a grieving mother. Her son, Fay Leonardo, was murdered by members of the Colombian military in 2008. She was told her son was the leader of an enemy insurgency, but Luz Marina says that's impossible, as her son lived with both severe physical and intellectual disabilities.
It was hard for me to be told that a boy with such an innocence was labeled as being a member of an armed group.
Over a period of 6 years, thousands of young men between the ages of 18 and 30 were falsely accused of being anti-government insurgents. While the Colombian government was fighting a war against leftist guerrillas, innocent Colombian civilians were being rounded up by the hundreds. Some were tortured, killed, and dumped in mass graves. The families of the victims appeared before a special tribunal recently established in Bogotá. 14 members of the military, facing prison sentences of upwards of 40 years, were in attendance. By testifying before the special tribunal, these soldiers were allowed to carry out their sentences at a military prison. Between 2002 and 2009, assassinations grew exponentially, and they happened to coincide with former President Álvaro Uribe's counterinsurgency directive, which gave members of the military incentives for positive results in combat.
Human rights organizations have registered more than 5,700 victims. That means that these false positives occurred throughout the region, which leads us to believe there was a policy behind the killings.
The mandate of the tribunal was recently amended by the Colombian Congress, and it exempts Uribe and former President Juan Manuel Santos from being forced to testify. The special tribunal is facing a lot of criticism. The office of the prosecutor for the International Criminal Court is observing these hearings. If it determines that Colombian authorities are unable or unwilling to thoroughly investigate and prosecute these cases, the ICC could open its own investigation. Going over old photographs of her son, Luz Marina says her story is that of thousands of families in Colombia.
My son was very considerate. Every day he would come up the stairs with his hands behind his back and hand me a rose. He would say, "Mom, I thought of you. I think that's what I miss the most, and that's what they owe me."
Luz Marina says her hope is that through this special tribunal,